you serious?
What's your favorite scary movie?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
This is my boomstick!
Swallow this.
Guys, welcome back. Another episode of the Arrow in the Head show. I am, of course, Lance, my host, I would say, the Arrow himself, Mr. John Fallon.
Co-host.
Well, Arrow in the Head show, buddy. You're the host.
We'll go with that.
And special guest today, we're actually welcoming Jessica Dwyer. Jessica, pleasure jumping on board with us, man. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
We're happy to have you, and don't be shy to bust our chops. Or
I want his sweater. God damn.
Oh, you can swear on this show. So
no, I said I want his sweater. I'll swear too, but I want his sweater.
I know you work for the Jobo side, work for the Jobo Horror side with us, but you have your own thing as well. If you don't mind telling the audience what you do,
No, I Fangirl Magazine, Fangirl Radio, Fangirl on YouTube. It all started with Shaun of the Dead and ran from there. Produced a couple of documentaries you may have heard of: In Search of Darkness 1 and 2, In Search of Tomorrow, the sci-fi. Do some writing. I've been doing this for a while, and I absolutely love it. If you couldn't tell from. Just did an episode of WTF Happened to This Horror Celebrity, all about Robert Englund, and had a fantastic interview with him that I did a couple of years ago that we got to share with everybody. That was an exclusive for Horror Hound Weekend.
Definitely.
We'll put that link in the description as well, so people want to check it out. The video and the interview following will be in the description. So, because it's a great one.
Definitely. But before I get ahead of myself, so we did Final Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Yay. Now we are tackling today the Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. But before we jump into that, Lance, let's not break tradition. What are you drinking, my friend?
So I went and got Cigar City, which is out of Tampa. It's a real cool place. I don't know if you've ever been to Ybor in Tampa, but it's essentially this. It's all cigars, kind of has a New Orleans feel. It's a bunch of wild chickens going around, but Cigar City's Florida man. And
Florida man.
Florida man. Yeah. So that's what I'm drinking.
Is it like 50% alcohol by
How much is it?
It's a light. It's only 8.5.
Oh, okay.
But what about you, John? What are you drinking?
I've been doing something new. I've cut out every kind of alcohol except vodka, water, with a dash of lemon. And I'm going that way. Don't judge me. I see it in your eyes. Don't judge me.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But, it's...
Diet Mountain Dew. I'm really rocking.
You're rocking like Dawkins, yeah? That's awesome.
Caffeine.
Cheers.
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 And cheers to all of you watching. Thank you for coming back and not having us canceled. So we appreciate it.
Hello, my friend!
Samuel Bayer, the director of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, is, of course, the director of one of my favorite music videos, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. As I'm sure you guys know, and you guys watching, listening, it's the only feature he's ever directed. He was actually coaxed into directing the Nightmare on Elm Street remake by Michael Bay, who kept harassing him. He's like, nah, I'm not interested. Michael Bay finally convinced him by saying, you make this movie, it will open up your career. And finally said, all right, I'm in. And of course, as we know, he went back to music videos where he's obviously very happy. So, all the power to him. You guys rewatched it before the show. I did it too on Netflix yesterday. And before I take out my finger knives, what did you guys think? Ladies first, Jess.
So I don't hate this movie like a lot of people do. And part of the reason I didn't is, Freddy Krueger is a big part of my life, as we know. I love Jackie Earle Haley. And he was coming off a Watchmen to this and Human Target, which Fox screwed that show. But anyway, I was very excited about this because there was really no way you could replicate Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. You just couldn't. So I like that they decided to try something different and went with a more realistic looking Freddy. I got to go on the set and see that makeup in person and see the filming in person. It was really disconcerting up close because Jackie Earle Haley has these ridiculously blue, creepy eyeballs that are just really, really blue. And when you're up close to a guy with his face just wrecked like that, and he's got these eyes that just pierce you, it was really just disconcerting. Like, oh, And other thing was part of his head was exposed. He has a bald head and he didn't have the makeup all the way up to here. So from here to here is his bare head. And it was just bizarre.
Did he have the green screen in his face?
He did have he had like a little patch of it right here. So when he's talking in the movie, you see a little bit of sinew because the cheek has been burned out, and you see like in here, and that's where that was. The scene I got to watch in film was within the bookstore, which is no longer in Chicago, but this was in Chicago, and they had the little kids in there. They had that whole room where the kids were at, and Rooney Mara was there, and Kyle Gallner was there. Rooney Mara was all just badassed out. And this was prior to her doing the girl with the dragon tattoo, but you could tell she was just ready to go do badass stuff in film at that point.
She actually stated that she hated making that film and she almost quit acting because of it.
You could tell she had some anger going on, but she was really sweet to me. She was out to prove herself. I really liked the reality aspect of it with the makeup, and I also liked they took Freddy back to like what he originally was, which was the pedo, the most horrific
child rapist, basically.
And that kind of went away, and you know, like over the years you see people dress their babies up as Freddy Krueger. That's really cute, but do you remember what he was? And like everybody had seemed to have forgotten. And they don't really say in the book. I have the book from like a million years ago. I have the one with the 3 movies in it. Yeah.
In the book, it's stipulated like clean that yes, he's a child molester right out the gate. But in the original 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't remember child molester, child killer. Yes, not molester.
But you can tell that something happened with him and Nancy. Like that's heavily implied, and Tina too. I loved, and I wish they'd kept this in, because I think that the alternate ending that's on the DVD and the Blu-ray is way more effective when he does that whole "I'll make it the way it was, don't worry," and he changes himself back, and it's sweet little Jackie Earle Haley with the hair and everything, and it's like, oh, that's the real monster. The thing that I didn't like about the new Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 remake, was it looked chintzy in parts. I mean, it was pretty filmed, but it didn't feel as nightmare-y, I guess is a word. Like the other
glossy,
films.
Very glossy.
Yeah, it was too clean. You know, you have like movies like The Dream Master and The Dream Child and things like that, where they're very much a care. The look is very much of their time. The remake just didn't feel that way, and it suffered for it. It felt rushed. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes long. It's not even an hour and 45 minutes.
But the original Elm Street was also fairly swift, if memory serves me right.
I'm trying to remember how quick that was.
Like,
but I was surprised. I was just surprised by how quick, like it just boom, boom, boom. We're killing off everybody. Okay, it's at the end, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
More so, I think the script failed it.
Well, the script was what's the name of the gentleman? Anyways, there was 15 drafts of the script, and the original screenwriter even said, and I had his name written down, but I can't.
Well, there's Wesley Strick and there's Eric Heisner.
And that's it. Eric Eisner said.
I think it was Wesley.
I might be saying that right there.
Yeah.
Heisner said there's nothing of what I did that wound up in the finished film. And it shows. And I had actually a friend of mine that worked on the film, who shall remain nameless, wink, who told me it was exactly that. A film made by committee. And it shows. The movie has no heart, in my opinion. Is not able to generate suspense for its life. Every time it repeated a scene from Elm Street, from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, like, for example, when Tina's in the body bag, Nancy, it felt like totally like just tacked on.
We'll just cram that in there.
Yeah, let's cram in there. But there's nothing, none of the dread, none of the creepiness. It doesn't even serve the story. It felt like they went down a checklist and duck. And that was pretty much it. And Rooney Mara, and I love the actress, looked like she didn't want to be there.
She acted. very much like when I actually told her, I said, I can see you doing great things. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that don't make sense now.
Kathy Cassidy was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah, and I like Kyle Gallner too, who
he was great.
He's fantastic in everything he does. It felt disjointed. It felt like you said, it felt like everything that was in respect to the original film was just crammed in. Like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. I like the whole thing of him being set on fire and ripping the jacket off and having the sweater. And there were some really good moments. I almost, I discussed this with my husband later after we saw the movie. I said, it would have been really neat is if he had been innocent, because they kept doing that whole thing. Like, are they going to make him innocent? Are they going to not? It would have been better if he had been. Like, who are the real monsters here? Okay, well, yeah, hell yeah, go kill them. The other thing that I forgot how bad it was the special effect of at the end with her mom being murdered. I'm like, this was only 12 years ago. Why is it so cheap?
I watched this twice. It's funny because I actually thought I fell asleep. So I rewatched like the last half again, and I realized I was just fucking bored. So I used to, I'm from Chicago, the Chicagoland area. I remember I was in Oak Brook. I was working out there. I used to work in cosmetics. And I remember a guy came in. He's like, I'm looking for some makeup, I'm looking for some stuff. And I'm a chatty guy. So it's like, oh, what's going on? What you looking for? And he's like, oh, I'm working on this new movie. And he's like, it's top secret. And so like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, he's looking for foundations, looking for this. And so we kind of chat up. And he's like, well, listen, I'm doing the makeup and the effects on the new Freddy Krueger. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. It's fantastic. He's like, it's going to be good. It's going to be dark, a lot of practical stuff. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. I was like, hey, Godspeed, sir. Godspeed. And then in 2010, I remember me, my roommate, and his girlfriend at the time went and saw the movie. And I walked away and I hated it. I'll be honest. I absolutely hated it. And I haven't seen it since. And I forgot all about all this. This is a movie that came, went, and I haven't thought about it since. I mean, little bits. There's things I remember. So after rewatching it, it's funny. I don't actually hate it as much as I did. I think my biggest complaint is it's, pardon my French, fucking boring. This stupid movie with a power glove that ruins the character on a broom is entertaining. I mean, this is so bland. And no offense, Rooney Mara, but she was miscast. And if she wasn't, then she should have tried. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm like upset because I don't want to go to work sometimes too, but I do. I don't want to go to retail and smile, but I did because it's my job. She got paid more than I've ever made. And she looked visibly bored and upset. And I was like, you gotta emote a little more. I'm like, more. Give me a little more.
I know you're supposed to be exhausted and tired, but
it's get exhausted, tired. Like my mom like woke me up to go like mow the lawn kind of shit. Like I did that when I was 16. My dad's like garage work. I'm like,
you ever get tired of coming here every weekend?
Hi, it's Nancy.
I don't understand. You said that we didn't know each other. I just saw Grace in a body bag. I know what we need to do. Come on.
No heart. And I didn't know about the rewrites, but even so,
it doesn't surprise me knowing more about them just butchering the script.
Yeah, well, the effects guy's like, it's gonna be unpractical, and I believe him. So clearly, it was tinkered with. But I don't know. I almost think that the era that I grew up in, which was the high concept, which is a movie has a sentence to sell you. What about a dream serial killer with knives for fingers? Right? I was like, oh, okay, cool, let's rock it out. This worked in the 80s, but you don't know how to kind of segue into a new era. So it always felt dated and awkward. Like his sweater, it's like, this makes sense in the 70s and 80s because these colors made sense. They don't exist in 2010. I was around. I grew up. They don't exist. So this doesn't make
you're
sense.
Wearing one right now, bro.
Yes, as a costume. As a costume, not as like some gardener living in a fucking school. And then the hat. I'm like, this isn't the 60s here. I don't know. It was, everything about it just seemed weird. The whole thing was weird. Like things like that. It's like everything is from the past. It doesn't make sense in 2010. It's almost like they just were like, well, we'll put it in a modern time. And I think that did a disservice. Like Jessica mentioned earlier, they didn't make it its own. They just copied and pasted. And I've never felt so out of place. And maybe because I was bored, so I was nitpicking. And I'll be honest, I probably was looking harder into things. But like you said, a committee, a factory. And I was like,
that's really what it. You watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and it really it's.
It has charm.
Yeah, it has charm, it has heart, it's genuine. There you go. When Freddy shows up for the first time, and the stretched out arms, And, oh my God, no, this is God,
Yeah, and it's gross and gritty, and like that diner scene, which I was watching it and I was like, I don't remember this sucking this bad. Like it just was so dark. And it's like, I know why this is dark. It's because of budget. It was a way for them to cut down on budget. So we'll just make everything really dark, right? And we'll put a couple pig heads in there. I think you're right in terms of why it didn't fit the time is kind of like with like the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They were trying to, I guess, be edgy with the whole, we're going to film them with our phones and cancel you. And so it kind of felt weird because
but hold on, let me say this. So I like that. I like the new Texas Chainsaw because I think it's stupid though. I think it's just a dumb movie, and I was laughing at it. Like, this is so boring, I can't laugh at it. I can't make fun. I'm like, this is stupid. I don't even like this movie, but I do. That's the balance I'm looking for. Either make a great movie or make something shitty that I could, I don't know, take an edible and like have a good time.
We were talking about the edits to the script and the cuts, and also another added scene that wasn't in the movie was originally Freddy dying in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, why didn't they leave that in there? That's different. He was still around. He was in a coma or something. And that gives a little bit more credence to why he would suddenly be in their goddamn dreams.
Yeah. Well, that's why the hospital scene was cut out, because he winds up in the hospital after they burn him. And, he's human, he's suffering, you feel empathy towards him. But they didn't know how heavy they wanted to play was he innocent or not? Yeah. And they kind of did, and they kind of chickened out. If you watch the movie again, there was more. At first, they were going to go that direction. Yes, he's innocent, but then it's bold, it's out of the box, and then they kind of like, let's pull back on it until, okay, you know what, he's not innocent. But we're going to play on it a little bit. So the hospital scene was reinforcing the whole did he do it or not game, and that's why they removed it.
Yeah, I think they should have kept him. I think he should have been innocent in it. I think that would have been a really nice way for it to stand on its own and differentiate itself from everything else too. And would have just added a neat level to the character, like of why and how he's able to do what he does. But yeah, I mean, 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street to me was a disappointment in how it just kind of was, like you said, it didn't do anything. And the characters are so cookie cutter too. I mean, like, why do I give a shit if the kid from Twilight's killed?
Well, hold on. There's only one actor in this movie that's good, and his name is Clancy Brown.
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
No brain, no pain. Think about it.
So we spent a lot of time, how can I say this politely, shitting on it. Is there anything you guys liked? Lance, what are you doing?
Looking at my notes.
Oh, I thought you decided to.
He's getting ready to read poetry.
Exactly. It looks like.
Well, because there's not a lot. So I'm like, okay, wait, what did I like? I wrote it down somewhere,
I got 3 out the gate. I liked that when they redid the Tina death, I liked it was just one slash. And then a nice little slow motion moment. When she dropped, shot. And then boom, and then slash. So I thought rhythm-wise, it was really interesting that as opposed to Craven's version, and even his version in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, because he did it again, which is a chop, 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 a lot of chopping around. It was one slash, and I thought it was cool. The micro nap idea, I thought that was really cool. That one scene where I think they're a grocery store or pharmacy, they're trying to get the drugs, right?
Yeah.
They kind of switch from where they are to the dream because they're micro napping. I thought that was a really cool idea that all the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies have never brought into the game. And I like the little references to the franchise. Somebody's called Kristen. How's this for a wet dream comes up at a certain point. Didn't they do the line from Freddy versus Jason, welcome to my world, bitch, or something like that?
Yeah. She says it. Nancy says it, actually.
Because you're in my world now, bitch.
I would say, again, I love Jackie Earle Haley. I thought he brought a really just his voice and just appearance. He did, he didn't half-ass it. He went for it because it's the only way you could do it, but he has a ferocity to him that worked. I like the fact, and I'd said that before, that they brought back what made Freddy creepy, which is what he really was when he was alive. And I liked, even though it wasn't included in the final cut, I liked that alternate ending and how they worked that, because it just made it that more cringe inducing. Those are the things I really, really liked about it. If they kept with that, is he innocent? Is he not? And they made him innocent, I think it would have been a wholly different affair and it made it a better movie.
Lancey Poo?
The pharmacy scene where it's cutting back and forth, and I obviously it's on a program camera, because I was like watching it dead on. It was flawless in terms of the editing. So clearly it wasn't a steady cam. It was on an operating thing. I thought that was really cool. I seriously, I like Jackie Earle Haley a lot. I think he did decent. I think the script did suck. I honestly, personally, I hate his look. He looks like the bully from Christmas Story, that little ginger guy. And so I have a hard time taking him seriously.
Zach Ward. Yeah, he looks like, that's so mean.
Well, he looks like Zach Ward in Christmas Story, only burnt. I don't know. I didn't like the look. I didn't like the realistic look because it just looked goofy. I don't know. And I do think they added way too much CGI. I know it's only on the cheek, but like when he moves, it was weird. He did this thing that I thought was kind of cool. He had this like nervous tick where he would
do that.
His fingers. And I like that. I was like, okay, that's at least something. That's like a little you. I dug. I wish they did a little more on his voice, like with modulation, personally. But I'm nitpicking. I did like him. I think he was a guy that showed up. Him and Clancy Brown, the only two people this entire movie that showed up.
That's right, Gwen. He's right.
This is not the way
This
to
ends
do
tonight.
Everybody else took the check, which again, give me $3 million.
Kathy Cassidy, she played Chris, who's really Tina. I thought it was fantastic. Very affable and.
Jesse, you have to believe me.
Like maybe because Rooney Mara was so awkward.
And Gallner did great.
Gallner too, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from Twilight, you call him, even though he's not from Twilight. Yeah.
I mean,
he's not the Twilight guy.
No, Kellen Lutz in the opening is the guy from Twilight.
Yes.
Everybody was boring to me except for Clancy Brown and Jackie Earle Haley. I did like more the backstory. I did like them chasing him. I think Freddy Krueger having some F-bombs actually was good. I don't know if I don't remember him ever having those, and if he did it wasn't a lot. Unless he was like, I'll fucking get you. And I was like, it's good. I like that. Good. It's just made more sense.
I find it funny. A friend of mine that I keep running into her in the fandom circles, her name's Erin. She was a Jackie Earle Haley fan from when Watchmen came out. And it was hilarious because we were talking about the new season of Stranger Things, which has just a metric butt ton of Nightmare on Elm Street, including Robert Englund. But it's funny. I said, Vecna talks like Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy.
Yes.
I didn't fucking think so.
His grunts that he does. And I'm like, Jackie Earle Haley is great when it comes to his voice work.
The movie made a ton of money.
It made 4 times its budget back. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it sold out midnight screenings and everything. And they made a lot of money. So like, all right, let's go back to Elm Street. But then the backlash came and it was so severe that Platinum Dunes basically said, we're not going to do another Elm Street. And you know what? We're done with remakes. And I think they didn't make a movie for 3 years until they did The Purge, which was not a remake.
Yeah, it was an original property, which is wow.
2 out of 3 remakes we both agree are good. I mean, to me, it's like, well, you deserve it. Because you did really well, and then you slept in, didn't do your homework, and then you did it on the bus to school. That's what this movie is. It's like, dude, this is an important character. You tried on the first 2. You tried on Jason and Leatherface. Why didn't you skimp on Freddy, which I would argue, honestly, is bigger than both?
I don't think anybody was cheap or lazy. I think it was a case of too many cooks.
What happened? Why was there too many cooks here, but not in Jason or
Well, it depends who. Look, I wasn't there, so I can't really.
No, John, you're the business guy. Come on.
I know, but I know how it works. Samuel Bayer, who's a music video director, who's not Wes Craven, who's not James Cameron or anybody. It's his first feature. You don't think? I'm assuming here. I don't know this for a fact, but you don't think there's like 5-6 guys who control the money. At the end of the day, the final say goes to the people with the money, and who's got the money is the producers, executive producers. Shut the fuck up, dude. You're gonna do what I tell you to do.
Marvel. It's a Marvel way.
I think what a good comparison here would be District 9. Okay, Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah,
I think I'm butchering how you pronounce his last name, but you had District 9, which had literally no interference from anybody. The script was like that thin because everybody was allowed to improvise and do stuff on the fly. It had great special effects. Didn't cost a lot of money somehow, but it had literally no interference. It was one of his first properties that he'd ever done, one of his first films. From that, you go to Elysium, which I hated with a passion. And Charlton Copley, who was the lead in District 9 and who ended up in Elysium as the bad guy named Krueger, funnily enough, he was even saying that, he was asking if I could, I wanted to improvise here and here and Neil would come over and say, no, you can't do that here. And it was because the studio was just on top of him with that film.
Fox are renowned for that. Black's Predator is another one of those that went through, I call it.
Oh, God.
The suit grinder, it always killed me. I understand you're putting in a lot of money and you want to make sure your investment is secure, but the whole point of hiring an artist that you think is talented should be that you trust that artist. But it feels, having been on film sets, what happens a lot is that the people in control, even though they're not the artist, they like to have their word in. It validates them. It makes them feel important. Weinsteins were huge on that. I mean, come on. Poor, God bless Wes Craven. They made him reshoot an entire movie. I mean,
curse.
Fuck's sakes, you can't top that one. So I guess, to end it off, Freddy's dead, no pun intended. Robert Englund, I highly doubt he's going to come back. I mean, he did.
Oh, Jason Blum keeps saying, I can get anybody to come back. I'll just throw like a butt ton of money and he'll do it.
I hope he doesn't. I don't want that.
I don't think he should. Honestly, and I love Robert Englund. I love Robert Englund, but there's a point where it's
gotta leave on a high note,
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me.
Yeah. I mean, he did the Goldbergs. He came back for the Goldbergs for like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I don't think that looked good though. To me, that was like really bad.
He looked weird. So
and the makeup wasn't as good as it should have been. That's
well, it was a TV. Yeah, it was a TV show. But yeah, I think if you're gonna do a new Nightmare on Elm Street, find a new Freddy. Don't try to recreate England. I'm kind of that team that's saying Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is Freddy Krueger now with his face. Or goddamn, the guy that played Vecna, Jamie Campbell. God, he was great. He was channeling it. He had that face. You have to have that face. It's almost like a witch.
Whatever they do, I honestly wish it wasn't Blum. Give it to A24. Give it to somebody weird. I don't know. No offense to Blum, but Blum's very hit or miss. I know that's controversial to say, but it's like
an A24 Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'm just saying, give me something weird. At this point, I got my bland remake and I got my weird cartoon. So the thing I don't have is the Artur version. Give me that.
I agree. I'm all for that as opposed to another McDonald's version of Freddy, an assembly line McNugget,
Yeah,
but really, what do? You retell the first movie again?
Reinvent it. Piss people off, but reinvent it. You have to, yeah. I don't know how.
Keep the core of a dream killer and just go with it. In the world we live in right now, with all the crap that's real, you have a lot to play with here in terms of mental health, who believes who. You can go dark with this and make it the stuff of nightmares.
Well, everybody that's sat right here to the end for the show, what about you guys? How do we keep Freddy going? Do we even want to keep Freddy going? So comment, give us your suggestions. Lance and I are usually in the comments. We're there to accept the insults. We're also there to bust balls back. So let us know what you think.
Yeah,
that's it. Well, look, Jess, thank you so much for dropping by.
Hey, no worries, man. Anytime. This was great.
Yeah.
And I was expecting you throwing grenades at us a couple times, but it didn't. So that's pretty good.
I need some Florida, man. I would. I'd be a lot more vicious.
Thank you so much for watching and listening, and comment away, and see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Later, guys.